So, welcome back to another video. My name is Robin, as per usual, and Kirill is here with me today again, also as per usual.
Again.
So again, so today we're gonna dive into something that's not a cliffhanger, Netflix. I don't know if that made any sense, but
Dun dun
right,
dun.
either way, yeah. So yeah, Kirill and I were just discussing what we should discuss, and yeah, so big rise in Netflix. Yeah, in the value of Netflix, or at least the trading price, right? What does the news say, Kirill?
Pretty much they had the Q4 release today and they were very good. So meaning they actually beat the expectations for the revenue, which is good for them, and they also topped the number of subscribers by 13 million. So this is was also quite unexpected, and that was a lot. So that everybody was like, "Oh, sounds interesting. Let me jump on that hype train," and that's why the stock is up 11.6% today. So holy moly, that's a
That's
lot.
that's fun. That's fun. You would think that these things would already be priced in, right? Because they started doing the you cannot share your account outside of your house anymore type of deal. So you would think that they would price it in already, but I guess the 30 million was just something unexpected.
Yeah, but it also depends on how quickly they would enroll this, like globally, right? Because we started doing these
Mm.
tests in certain countries, but I think, let's say, for example, in Netherlands, that's not the thing yet, right?
It is. It is
It
already.
is? Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I still didn't have to do that thing, so maybe got
Ah,
lucky.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then also there's some news that of course Netflix needs to do some R&D, and we'll probably see that later in the statements. But they're also gonna do some live sporting events, so WWE in 2025. I think that's positive. I think Disney has the ESPN channel with live sports, and if they go this way, then it's another way for them to compete. Well, you see this a lot these days with everyone. I mean, it's good for the consumer, right? Because everyone these days has a streaming platform. It doesn't matter who you are, even if you if you make content or not, you have a streaming platform. But it's good to see that Netflix is trying this out, and also with their gaming last time. But yeah, let's see what if it's actually worth the price, right? Because yeah,
Yeah,
they can
it's a
trade for
very
such a high price.
interesting case, right? Especially in terms of, let's say, the growth prospects for Netflix we can talk about. So yeah, let's check it out, right? So market cap is already 215 billion. That's quite a lot, and with PE of 55, uh, it feels like it's getting pricey already, even probably before the jump today. So uh, yeah, it's a little bit tricky, I would say. So if we go to company
Yeah.
foundations, at least we can see some good signs with revenue and net income growth, as well as free cash flow growth. Finally, that's good. It's good to see.
Mm-hmm.
But long-term debt to free cash flow is still in negatives for the past 5 years. But that's probably all right because they again loaded up on debt during COVID times, and the company doesn't pay any dividends or they do not issue any buybacks. But at least they do not dilute you, so that's also, I would say, a good sign. It's better nothing than dividing the pie even with more people. So
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, some good signs already, indeed. Yeah, like I said, for the long term, that's something that yeah, it depends on what kind of signals you're looking for. But yeah, we can scroll down and see what else is under the hood. So when we look, for example, at the net earnings ratio, we can see that they are increasing that as well. So you would like to see this around 20%, and we're still waiting for the 2023 numbers, expecting what somewhere in February, March or something.
yeah, usually yes, yeah.
Yeah. But then we can see if they further enhance the growth. From 2020 to 2021, you can see a huge surge in net earnings ratios, probably due to COVID, when everything, or at least everyone, was home. And then you see a decline in 2022, and I believe that's also the year when they announced that they were going to do the "you can't share your password anymore" kind of thing, where they had some kind of backlash. So it will be interesting to see what 2023 had in store for them, and of course, yeah, what this year will have in store. But yeah, it's decent. It's not the best net earnings ratio you can have. Again, looking to buy it, or at least to have a company around 20%. The net interest expense ratio is it's on the low side, but gotta say there are companies that have less interest expense on their income statement. So that's something to consider. So here you see the R&D should be below 20% preferably. Again, they have a lot of competition in the past years and they need to develop. They're also still, of course, a tech company, right? So you would expect a higher research and development ratio. But again, if you have a really good business model, you don't need to develop it that often. So yeah, that's something also you need to consider. The average is 20%, so that's again decent. They do spend a lot on marketing. It seems 22%. You would like to see this below 20% as well. But it's not out of the ball. It's not crazy like some of the other companies we've seen before, right? Um, so yeah, and then the depreciation. Why would that be so high, Kirill? Because I don't think that they have their own productions, but I don't know how this part works, right? If they buy the studios or if other studios make it for them and they buy the content, uh,
Most
or
likely, they just treat, let's say, the content they produce or they at least acquire from others. Like, for example, they just, let's say, took over the rights to show some movies or some series, right, on Netflix.
Mhm.
They also have some validity of these contracts. So there is a certain
Yeah,
duration, and then after that, they are not authorized to do that anymore. So
yeah,
that's probably the reason why depreciation is
okay,
so high, because it costs quite probably some money, because now they
yeah,
plus they also jump into the games, so they probably also have some contracts for this. And then they are keep on changing, so they got a lot of flow of the content throughout the platform consistently, probably all the time. So that's why. And then plus, of course, their in-house production probably also costs a buck. So yeah, that's, is it justifiable? I don't know, but it's just the way how the business works, and that's how they stay afloat of the competition. They gotta always bring in the fresh content so people watch it. So
exactly. And I also just read that, of course, like for these kind of things, it also decreases the tax you need to pay as Netflix, so you can get or at least keep more cash into the company, which is positive. But yeah, normally you wouldn't really like to see this that high. Again, somewhere between 20, maybe 40% max. Um, yeah. And then for the free cash flow per share outstanding, so that has been positive last year. So yeah, they've been growing the free cash flow. So let's see what that does. But yeah, it should probably be in a similar trend, right? Because they don't dilute you, and if they keep on going their free cash flow, then you would probably
yeah,
see similar numbers here.
yeah, yeah.
And then, so the free cash flow we discussed already.
Yeah, it's actually good to
So,
see that it went back to positives, especially comparison to 2020. So 2020 was a good year, 2022 is a good year. So I think it's also expected that 2023 would be good as well, when the full year financials would be released. Um, and revenue growth is also quite good. So it's higher teens. So for the past 5 years, that was 19%. Sounds like a good deal. And net earnings are also growing, which is also a good sign. So it means that the company is able to finally get its financials, together. So it's yeah, it's good to see. That's why people are so hyped up about Netflix again.
and it's also interesting to see because we saw the shares outstanding to be zero, like the change, right? But they did dilute a tiny bit in 2020, and then they bought back shares in 2022. So it's interesting to see what they did if they bought some more shares in the past year. I didn't follow this news last year, so it will be fun to see. And we'll come back to this, I think, February, March, when they drop the income statements or the yearly statements. We'll just come back to it
Yep.
and check it out with you guys.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, moving on, the Fundsmith part is yeah, it's a little bit red, let's say, but mainly because the, let's say, the gross profit margin is below 40%. But then again, this is I think this is rather tolerable if we consider that they're gonna keep up with the same revenue growth, and if they're gonna keep their expenses intact, that should improve, right? And the only thing is also not really good to see is cash conversion, right? So they sink a lot of cash into the business, and they do not really experience good free cash flow growth, let's say. So that's why cash conversion is also pretty low, and even goes into negative territory. So. Um, hopefully that's going to be improving, so you can see some positive signs in 2020, 2022 as well, so maybe or
Yeah,
hopefully would be growing.
exactly. Well, let's see what happens then.
Yeah.
But yeah, and of course, okay, so what we see here is a bit of a mixed bag, right? So you have some of positives, some speculative future, yeah, signs that things may or may not go up, the numbers go to the right direction. We don't know yet, right? But this is a bit of a mixed bag from the things that we do know. So let's see what the value would be for such a company if you would like to buy it today. Again, we always highlight this, of course, but none of this is financial advice. It's really important to do your own due diligence. Just make sure you know the company, know what you're buying, um, and then yeah, uh, get some good returns, but on your own research.
Yeah, because this is just primarily a screener, right? So if you're not, let's say, familiar with a company, but you're interested to just do, let's say, maybe a couple of minutes of research to understand if it's something interesting for you or not, at least financially speaking, you can use our tool. So that's the whole idea of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Um. So assumptions, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So let's check at least what it was in terms of the free cash flow for the past 10 years. Of course, there would be no growth because it was negative all the time.
Yeah.
But let's say if we take the revenue as a starter, um, we can just copy paste it, for example, from the stock analysis, from another, let's say,
Yeah.
tool. Hopefully, we're just gonna use our app fully for this kind of information soon. So yeah, stay tuned again. Again, not gonna um, stop saying about it. But it looks nice, right? So let's say for the past 10 years, 23% growth, but then you can also see that it's actually going down in the past couple of years. So it's single
Yeah.
digit already. So
Exactly. Well,
yeah.
if you take it for the last 5 years, then it is 20%. So that takes it into account. But let's see what the analysts think
Mm-hmm.
um, about this whole.
Yeah. Oh, so it's so good to be a Netflix shareholder now, probably. Seeing this
Yeah.
number in one day. Oof. But if we go to Yahoo Finance and if we go to analysis to check what the analysts have to
So
say,
yeah, it's all the way down. I saw
all
it
the way
already.
down,
It's
is
like
it? Ah, sorry.
24.35% per year. It's yeah, that's stretching it a bit, I think.
Yeah, it's too much.
I would rather keep it low 20s, 15 to 20%,
But we can just do multiple,
probably.
right? We can even, like, for now, okay, let's assume the company is going to be doing great in the upcoming 5 years because, okay, they have, uh, they're pretty much beating competition, right? So Disney, HBO Plus, all of these guys are suffering in comparison to Netflix. They are also populating the content with other shows. For example, WWE, something that they've never done before. So this is, let's say, unconventional, and then they started jumping into games. So they are also trying to diversify, let's say, the products that they offer under the subscription. So if they extend that into live sports, let's say, or if they extend it to music, maybe games, like offering it like Steam, or maybe some other things like audiobooks, right? That would be like a great product if you could just get all of these things under one subscription. Sounds like a sounds like a dream, I would say, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, but so what do you reckon? So we first plug in the big number,
Yeah,
24.
yeah. Let's
24%.
Yeah, 25. Just
Okay.
just let's see if it's gonna be like doing extremely great, sun is shining, rainbow unicorns, all of that.
Hmm.
Um,
And then you put it on 5 years because things are changing.
yeah,
The industry is moving rapidly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And also, even though people say that, yeah, S&P is breaking its all-time high records and stuff, there's still some uncertainty flies around interest rates and all of that stuff. So, um, yeah, I cannot really say anything about these kind of companies for longer, even than maybe 2 3 years really, and five is already a stretch. So
Yeah. Okay. So what were the PE ratios?
yeah. So if we check, let's say the P ratios for the past years, so that was high and that was painful. So it was as low as 15, but it was as high as 400. So this is this is also such a big roller
Interesting.
coaster.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of hype.
Yeah. But then if we assume that people will be willing to pay more for the growth, because 25 a year is 25% a year is great. Um, Maybe we can even say, okay, the best case scenario, low of 30 and high of maybe 60, because right now it's already 55 on good news, right? Uh, what do you think?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
We can try it out
Yeah.
and
Um,
see. We can change it maybe after
yeah.
the initial one.
Yeah. We can always play around. Yeah. So required rate of return, usually we keep it the same with the discount rate at around 11%. Robin, tell us why. I'm very curious.
Okay. Are you? Uh, so as we, if this is your first time watching, we keep this at 11% because if you buy in, for example, an ETF, you would like to expect returns of like 7 to 10% annually. If you're doing stock picking, you would like to see more, and this is already a bit more conservative, right? 11%. It's just for 1% extra risk you take for stock for picking stock. You can of course play around with this yourself, but we keep it around 11 12%. Um, Discount rate of return we always keep around this thing in the for the margin of safety. Yeah, it's again what you like to do. So if you can just screen for yourself, okay, so when is it safe to buy at what certain margin of safety? I like to keep this at 20% if because of my risk tolerance. If you think okay, it's a very steady company and I can take on a bit more risk because it has been here for a gazillion years, then you can maybe lower it. And if you're a bit older, let's say 65 years and older, you can and you don't really want to lose your money again, for example, you can put this really high, just for you an extra safety measure, just so you know. But yeah, 10 20%. So what do you say? I would probably put this at 20%. Like seeing after the fundamentals, it's not really that steady.
I would even probably put it even higher, but if we would assume it's again a rainbow and unicorn scenario, twenty
Yeah,
percent is all right. 10 is like if you just do grocery shopping, you can get this kind of discount, and then this one I think it's a little bit of a more cautious buy purchase to make, So yeah, 20% is all right. And yeah, what do we see? So valuation wise is actually not that far away from the current price, or it was before the opening
yeah,
of today's market. So if you for example are okay with this regarding margin of safety, right, you can maybe even just start the position, and then maybe just dollar cost averaging around it, right? But then again, this is considering very nice scenario that everything plays out for
mm-hmm.
Netflix.
Yeah,
um, the perk of the company is that it still doesn't have very expensive subscriptions, so people do not tend to churn a lot. So like it's not gonna hit their budget. Let's say if there's some crisis happening or whatever, they can still run it. It's okay. Maybe like what $7 per month or something like that. Maybe more. I don't even
yeah,
remember. That's the thing. If you don't remember about it, it's already like a sunk cost. So a
yeah,
lot of people think of it that way. But if you, for example, would consider a little bit of worse scenarios, like even if we say that the growth would be not 25%, but let's say 15, that's already we're talking about $300 in the ballpark of it, and the target buy
exactly. Yeah,
price with a margin of safety is 250. So
yeah,
you gotta be careful. You gotta be very careful with this one. That's my take.
yeah. So yeah, the moral of the story is just look at the fundamentals and of course see what the numbers tell you. So in this case, there is still a lot of uncertainty. It's not like Amex, for example, where it's just has been here forever. Product doesn't change. It sells itself. It really needs attention.
But also the thing is, Netflix is also not like a consumer staple company, or it doesn't offer the products which you must have. For example, with Visa or Mastercard, sometimes even Amex especially probably in US, a lot of people have credit. They of course use credit cards, and for businesses as well, it's way easier to pay with a credit card instead of just running the invoices around the company all the time. Uh, You have to have this. This is more like an essential thing. With Netflix, can you live without the Netflix subscription? You probably could. So this is
Yep.
also something which you gotta pay attention to. Even though, let's say, it's cheap for an average Joe on a monthly basis, he can live without it. So yeah.
And then the thing that scares me the most, but there are so many players. Like the pie is the same size, but there's so many more mouths to feed. And I think people still have that picture in their mind of when Netflix is one of the first or one of the bigger streaming services out there. Um, and yeah, of course, people are buying this thing because it's cheap. But if you're having a lot of subscriptions, people will notice. So that's what I'm a bit scared of. And you see already that okay, so they're moving to their own productions because yeah, some of these media magnets they have their own streaming services, and I think that's the trend you'll likely keep seeing, right? That more people jump on this because yeah, maybe it's easy money, and some of these subscriptions are really cheap. So yeah, that's what scares me. So besides the valuation, that's why I wouldn't want to get into it.
What I was thinking about, it feels like another era of television. Because back in the days,
Yeah,
it was the same with the TV channels. You would just get to purchase them, I don't know, on cable or satellite and whatever. You would just watch it through your TV. Instead of now, you're just watching it through other screens. So the idea is more or less the same. It's just the way how people consume content is just is a little bit different for different devices.
yeah,
But then at some point
exactly,
they're gonna reach that saturation point as with television, and there's gonna be something new probably.
exactly. So yeah, until then, we'll keep you posted on the
We're gonna
prices of
keep an eye on it,
Netflix,
definitely.
Disney, and Hulu.
Oh yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
yeah.
but where can we find this beautiful sheet, Kirill?
Well, hopefully soon to be not the sheet anymore, but the proper app with both desktop and mobile versions of it. But you can just go to 930.com. The link would be, of course, in the description. And for the first people who would like to support us, we're just gonna keep it the price at €1. No subscriptions or whatever for in the future. We just planned it to do that way because we just wanted, um, let's say, your investments and that process of yours to do stock valuations to be easy and affordable, of course, because not everyone is able to, let's say, pay $100 a month on these kind of subscription services, which offer more or less similar value, or sometimes even less. So yeah, if you would like to support us now and in the future, stay tuned. Please leave a like, leave a comment, leave a dislike, whatever you feel like. We are all open to your feedback, and we really appreciate it as well. So anything else,
Yeah.
Robin?
No, just also let us know what you think about the valuation that we just came up with for Netflix. Are there some things that you think that we did not calculate in, or we were either too conservative, or too much rainbow and sunshine? Let us know. We're curious, and then we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.